Let's get to it. 104.5 The Team, your home for New York Yankees baseball. Buster only joining us today because we have an early Yankee game tomorrow. Of course, Buster, cool enough to always find a way to make time for us, even though he knows I'm going to cry. Because, Buster, all your insider articles lately are about selling off my Yankees.
Yeah, and I think that one thing to keep in mind is that this is not about the Yankees, waving the white flag and saying the season is over. This is about the Yankees trying to structure their organization so they're better positioned going forward while also contending this year. And I mean, shoot, they're back to 500 as you and I speak. They're making progress this year. But I think that what they're going to do before the August 1st deadline is to look at different parts of their organization and say, do we have some depth that we can work from to continue the process of getting younger while still also contending? Because, look, it's for example, they have a great situation in their bullpen. They have 3 lockdown relievers, and that's amazing. But they're also, I think, going to be asking the question, look, does Andrew Miller have more value to us as a trade chip as an organization than he does pitching, 2 or 3 innings a week for the rest of this year? And I think the answer is going to be yes. I think they're going to trade him and take advantage of, a situation where he's going to have unbelievable value. So what, they could potentially do is keep Chapman, keep Betances in the bullpen, and if they trade Miller, then, my guess is if they decide to trade Andrew Miller, the team that's going to be all over him is going to be the Chicago Cubs. They can go and get an outfielder, Alberto Almora, the young outfielder, other prospects in the organization because Andrew Miller has that kind of value. And, the Giants will be involved. The Dodgers will be involved. And I don't think you're ever going to see them absolutely stripped down, but they will take advantage of a guy's value like Carlos Beltran, who can't block a trade to the Kansas City Royals or the Cleveland Indians, and maybe one of those two teams would give them a young starting pitcher that they need. And the Yankees could bring back Alex Rodriguez, put him at DH, and have an outfield down the stretch of an Aaron Hicks, Jacoby Ellsbury, Brett Gardner, and I think they're actually going to trade Gardner before the deadline because they've got Aaron Judge, who I think they want to look at the last 2 months. So I don't think this is a case of the Yankees blowing it up and giving up on 2016. I think this is them saying, you know what, we've got some places where we can work from depth and make the team younger going forward.
Buster only joining us on 104.5 The Team. Buster, I hear what you're saying, and it makes me feel way better, but the Miller deal still scares me because of the way Joe Girardi uses that bullpen. We probably could add another closer and still burn him out.
Yeah, and that maybe goes into your thinking in terms of moving him, if I'm making sense. In other words, if you feel like that Andrew Miller, you know that right now he's got a ton of trade value because unlike Chapman and some of the other relievers who could be out there, he's under contract for 2 more years. So, for example, the Giants, they've got Santiago Casilla, their closer. He's a free agent at year's end. Sergio Romo is a free agent. Javier Lopez a free agent. They need a bridge, and they would pay highly to get that. And if you're making an internal evaluation and you're running the Yankees, you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what? We know that Andrew Miller's pitching a ton under Joe Girardi, and maybe it's best to take advantage of the hot stock before it breaks down, so to speak.
Yeah, Buster, you bring up hot stock. Tom Kozlowski filling in for Wolf today, and Carlos Beltran, and you bring up Brett Gardner. Is there a possibility if one of these guys gets hot at the plate, a move may actually happen sooner?
I think that they're going to be a lot more open to making a move than people realize, and I think they're going to be open to making moves a lot sooner than people realize because their depth is right now. Look, they can say all they want about Alex Rodriguez, and well, he needs some extra at bats. We need to get him some extra work in the minor leagues. What's happening is that they understand. I think that their best team right now is with Alex Rodriguez on the bench. And once they bring him back, then it becomes more complicated because I think that if you gave truth serum to people in the Yankees organization, they want to play Aaron Hicks every day. And once you bring Alex back, then that means you're essentially having to make a choice between sitting Alex and Carlos Beltran or Aaron Hicks. And I think that's why they're delaying Alex's return to the big leagues.
Buster, there's I mean, for me as a Yankee fan, there's a part of me that's scared of the return of Alex Rodriguez because of how much success the Yankees have had since he's been on the DL. Is there actually reason for me to feel this way?
Yeah, I think so because, look, I personally think that they're a better team with Aaron Hicks in the lineup because they're better defensively. And I think among all the DH options right now, especially with Teixeira not going that great, I think Beltran is the guy. And, no one knows what Alex is going to bring back to the table. There were times when it looked like before he got hurt, like he was starting to put it together. Fact is, he's going to be 41 years old in 2 months. And the Yankees have no idea if he's going to continue to hit. And let's face it, the only reason why they have to seriously think about playing him is not because of the promise he brings. I think it's because of the contract situation. Beltran is up at the end of the year, and Alex has another year beyond this year. If there wasn't a contract involved with Teixeira, with Alex, with Beltran, I think they would just make simple decisions based on the production.
Buster Olney with us right here, 104.5 The Team. Levac and Wolf, Goz filling in for Wolf today. Buster, before we move on to the Mets, again, I'm pinstripe pants, whatever you want to call me. What's reasonable now? Is this potentially a wild card team again with the way they've been playing as of late?
Yes. I do think, though, that, as the Yankees make these choices during the summer, I don't think the question's going to be, are we good enough to make the playoffs? I think the Red Sox are going to become the standard against which they're going to measure their team because literally if you go player by player around the diamond and you match up the Red Sox and the Yankees right now, at every position other than maybe catcher, the Red Sox have a better team. And I think that if the Yankees are honest with themselves, they're going to say, you know what, we're not a championship caliber team now. How do we get to that point? And I'll just play it out, okay, as they make these choices. Let's say they decide that they're going to trade Andrew Miller to the Rangers, and they get Joey Gallo in return, the third baseman. You could be looking at an infield next year and an outfield of Greg Bird at first, Starlin Castro at second, Didi Gregorius at shortstop, Joey Gallo at third base. And again, this is hypothetical. I'm not saying that that's actually what's going to happen. A Gallo at third base because you take advantage of Miller's value, Aaron Hicks and Aaron Judge and Jacoby Ellsbury in the outfield with Alex Rodriguez entering his last year and your boy Bryce Harper looming on the horizon. That is what the sort of decisions I think the Yankees will be making this summer as they prepare to move into the future.
Sorry, Buster, all I heard was that part about Bryce Harper. I missed all that Red Sox talk.
You've got Levac so happy now, but fans that are not feeling happy are New York Mets fans. Yesterday they lose again. Matt Harvey gives up 5 earned runs in 5 innings. What is the big problem with Matt Harvey right now?
Well, there's no doubt that he is having a hard time maintaining his stuff. And we saw that, and especially the execution of his secondary stuff. The home runs he gave up to the Nationals on Tuesday night were on changeups. And he's had that situation before, that he comes out and his fastball's in good shape at the beginning, and then second time through the order it becomes more of a problem. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I believe this is about right, that first time through the order, opponents are hitting about 240. Second time through the order, they're hitting about 300. Third time through the order after last night's game, this number is 100% right, they're batting .509 against Matt Harvey, third time through the order with an OPS over 1,300. And look, some of that might be execution. I know the Mets internally feel like that he gets robotic with his mechanics once he starts to get into trouble, almost like a boxer who loses his athleticism once he gets hit in the chin. But I wrote about this last week that, look, it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. All you have to do is look at the video of Matt Harvey in his first couple of years in the big leagues and look at it now. He's a lot heavier than he was. And I think one of the questions that he needs to ask himself is, am I doing everything I can between starts to put myself in position to win? Because, guys, I was just around the Giants over the weekend, and every day when you're out on the field, there's Madison Bumgarner running. Or if you're around the Dodgers, there's Clayton Kershaw working out like crazy. Jake Arrieta is a beast physically, and he puts in so much work. And I think that whether it's Matt himself or somebody going and asking Matt the question, I think that's something worth thinking about as we talk about how he loses stuff during the course of his start. Is he as prepared physically as he could be?
Buster Olney on 104.5 The Team on Levac and Wolf. Buster, we had Tommy John on earlier this week, and we asked him, is there any chance some of this Matt Harvey stuff is still fallout from the Tommy John surgery? He said, I don't know, because no player has ever reached out to me once to see what I did to come back from Tommy John surgery. Does that blow your mind?
It does. That surprises me, and maybe with all due respect to Tommy, maybe part of that is because he was at the forefront of the surgery, and there have been so many changes that maybe agents and players don't feel like that he has as much to offer. But I agree. You don't know why those calls aren't made. I'll give you another example. Last week, I was talking with Tim Corbin, who coached David Price and Sonny Gray at Vanderbilt, and I said, hey, Tim, how many times have you had major league teams reach out to you when guys go through struggles the way Price and Sonny Gray did at the beginning of the year? And he goes, to be honest with you, yeah, and you'd be shocked at how little they get in response. And he said, you'd think that the people involved would want to get as many answers as they possibly could as they deal with issues, but that's the nature of baseball today. Maybe they just think they can find it on a computer in a math formula.
Buster, Matt Harvey doesn't address the media following yesterday's game. He doesn't address them this afternoon. What do you make of him trying to avoid the New York media?
Well, and I want to make this clear. I mean, I covered baseball for a long time. I don't care if players talk. I never did. Players, Chuck Knobloch going through his throwing issues, or other guys having a tough time, and you get he's not going to answer questions. Okay, that's fine with me. I just always felt like that the only thing that made a difference is that moving forward, I didn't want to have that player complain about something written.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they forfeit that right. But you know who it does matter to? Teammates. And I wrote in my column today that when I covered teams, a lot of times I'd have veteran players, whether it was a David Cone or Paul O'Neill, guys that come up and they were almost like older brothers checking on a little brother saying, hey, did he answer questions? And they wanted to know because a lot of players, most of them I think, feel like this is part of the responsibility. It's part of the grand bargain. You get this really cool job. You get to make a lot of money. You get first-class travel. You get a lot of attention. But you know what? When it's not going well, you need to answer questions, in part because you need to be accountable to your teammates. A lot of players believe that, a player like Harvey having a bad game last night, he needs to take responsibility for pitching badly last night. And I guarantee you that there are guys in that clubhouse who are saying, you know what, Matt, you need to stand up and answer questions. Now, besides what the players think, it's also dumb, quite frankly. I mean, if you want to talk about, how to deal with the media and how to make your life easier, just go out there, give a few Bull Durhams, and walk back.
Buster Olney joins us. Buster, a friend of mine, was very curious as to what's wrong with future Yankee Bryce Harper right now.
Man, oh man! Look, I'm not a hitting coach, but just watching him, I get the feeling that all those base on balls he's been given, and he went through that stretch where he essentially wasn't allowed to swing, that it's had an effect on him because it seems like he's been a lot more anxious at the plate in the games that I've seen. It seems like he's absolutely over swinging, and it was interesting. They mentioned on the broadcast that the Mets had during Harvey's game that Harper was out on the field taking batting practice. That really jumped out to me because last year when he had such a great season, he didn't do that. He stayed in the indoor cage, and maybe he's at the point now in this slump that he's been going through that he feels like, I want to get out on the field. I want to feel better about things. I want to get a feel of being out in the open air again. He's clearly looking for some answers.
Buster, you've got the Mets menagerie coming up. You'll be covering Matt Harvey and Bartolo Colon.
I do. On Sunday, we got Clayton Kershaw against Bartolo Colon, Sunday Night Baseball. Next day, Jose Quintana and the White Sox against Matt Harvey, and I'm sure he'll be picking up a lot of this conversation.
Buster Olney, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.